Ready spaghetti. Hang on, I'm going to bring up Twitch on my phone so I can follow the chat. How you doing today, Jace?
Oh, I'm here. And I was doing some work this week and this morning and stuff like that, so I'm doing okay. Happy to be able to work. So
yeah, so can you talk about what you've been working on at the moment or not really? Are you like,
nope. Afraid not.
Isn't that funny how you can just never say anything about what you're doing?
It's true. It's true. You can just never ever tell anyone. It was like that with Valorant for so long. I couldn't mention that and everything. So that was weird.
And then even now I'm like so constantly scared that I can't say things that I say. I'm like, can I say that? I don't even know. I mean, no one said anything to me, but they did send me an email reminding me of some of the rules one time.
Oh wow.
and I thought, you know what? I don't think it wasn't because sorry, what was that sound? It's my sorry, there was an ad playing on my YouTube.
Oh.
I was like,
fun.
What is that sound? Who the fuck is talking? And I don't think it was because I did anything, but I think they were like, she could, she has that in her. We see that. She's got that look in her eye.
She seems like the type. She'll say things.
I was like, it's totally possible. All right, I can see that we have Dead Polio in chat. So, hi, Dead Polio.
Hey.
Simply Santasia, if you're in chat, just say hello, my sweet love, so that I know you are here. Here she is. Simply Santasia is here. Oh my God. Okay. Well, the moment has come. I'm just going to start the interview now. I'm so excited to talk to you, Jason. You are my favorite voice. I'm going to just say it. You heard it here.
Oh.
In the game. Wow. I really think you have the sickest voice, and I'm so excited to talk to you and hear about your career and just get to know you better. Everyone who's kind of been watching my streams for a while knows that I think your voice is crazy. It's just amazing. It's so exciting. And listening to you speak, you have such a deep sort of toned voice. I don't know what the phrase would be, but
yeah, it's a deep thing, that's for sure. But honestly, Skye is my favorite in the game. I really love Skye's everything you do with Skye is so playful but also kind of dangerous, and I think that's fun, and I love it. And your vocal quality is just so interesting, and again, is this kind of mix of sweet and dangerous and playful, and I just love
nice.
that.
That's so
I love
nice.
that.
She's very a lot of people say of Skye, oh, she's so wholesome, and I find that really interesting that that was how it came across. It's oh, I didn't know that my voice had that quality to it. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's interesting to learn.
And we also get to have the interactions between the voice lines from Omen anyway. I remember that line about there's a beast in you, Skye, unleash it, or whatever it is. So I think even Omen senses that there's some sort of darkness there too.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really fun. I always love getting those little lines that you get to sort of say something about the other characters that may not have been lore apparent to anyone else,
Wait, so, I have so many questions for you, but okay, I'm going to ask you an Omen question, then I kind of want to start from the beginning, but what do you know about Omen? What do you know about Omen's backstory? Do you know anything? Or are you allowed to say anything, or?
Well, I would say this. I would not be allowed to say if I did know. And I know about as much as everyone else. Honestly, it was kept kind of mysterious, which I think actually helped a little bit in the characterization that he's this kind of, sort of lost figure almost. He's this kind of between worlds sort of character, which I thought was kind of fascinating. So honestly, the less I knew about him, the more I think that kind of helped that perform that mysterious part of his character. So I actually didn't mind it too much. But now I'm kind of like, man, I sure would like to know something about Omen, because everybody keeps asking me stuff, and I'm like, guys, I don't know. I promise. I have no idea.
Yeah, so when you got it, did you see the animation of Omen? Or did you get a brief, like a synopsis?
I got a brief, and I had I had a still image of him. I didn't get to see any of the actual gameplay in motion or anything until actually it might have been that first session, or it might have been the second. I don't remember when, but yeah, they pulled me into the room at one point and sort of showed me some of the, shadows traveling and stuff like that, like Omen being spooky and whatever. I always do Omen hands whenever I'm doing stuff. Because he's always so like kind of clawed and creepy and
he's
and
like
that,
faceless.
So.
Like it's
exactly. Yeah, he's really spooky. So I like that about him. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot to go on visually other than this sort of cloaked figure. And back then it was the design that they updated soon after. But he only had two little beady eyes in his hood. So then they switched it to like the three slashes instead, which I really liked. But yeah, so I just sort of had this spooky looking guy and stuff, and they mentioned he was, ethereal and created shadows and things like that, but I didn't see any of that at first. Did you get to, how much of your stuff was completed, like visually? Did you get to see any of the animation or anything that was going in?
Yeah, because I got, like, you were an OG character, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I got added in October. So when I came in to record, like I saw like Phoenix, I saw you, I saw all the characters in gameplay, and and they showed me some of the voices, and the first person that they showed me was Alafabi voicing Phoenix. Yeah.
Magic.
Dude, he's so fucking good. Yeah.
He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's bananas. I literally said that. I was like, that guy's incredible. Brixton 20 said, "Hello, I'm an Omen main. So excited to see Jason today." Yay! Sorry, I'm just gonna be screaming the whole time. Wow, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm sorry, it keeps dropping out of the thing. But yes, I didn't really, I think I saw what she looked like. But, she was just such a, like, dude, getting a brief for, like, a 20-something Australian girl from a country town isn't exactly hard for me to figure out, like, that's literally me, So it was, I was like, okay, yeah. So I just did a version. It's not my voice necessarily. Like, I put on a voice, but it's a version of my own speaking voice, whereas obviously Omen is not. That's not how you speak.
No, thank God. And I'm glad, because, oh man, that'd be hard to deal with.
That'd be a lot.
Oh my God.
But so how do you go about seeing something like that and finding a voice that you think works for something so random?
Honestly, with him, it's rare enough in a lot of the auditions that I get. Usually it's all descriptions. I don't always get a visual. I mean, I'm sure you're used to this too. You don't always get the visual. But seeing him, and he's kind of this scraggly looking, like kind of, hunched a little bit, kind of spooky ghost dude. And then it said, like he's ethereal and scary and growly and all this stuff. So
yeah,
when they said that kind of thing, it was easy to sort of find, where that lived down here and all that. So I thought it's just sort of a whisper, like he's this echo chamber. So he's that kind of thing. So that kind of helped figure out where that voice might be. And then of course they put filters on it as well, so I sound crazy. But
yeah, but like you seriously sound like there is, I think Texture has clipped you doing voice lines and put it on his TikTok. And from the podcast y'all did, and everyone is like, dude, this guy's voice without filters is insane. Like, you just, the fact that you can do that voice and it can sound like that is wild.
Mhm.
You know, like it really is. It really says a lot.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I love those kinds of characters, and I play a lot of sort of, demonic, monstrous characters. I play a lot of those, so it was easy enough to be able to, it's kind of a similar place that I go to when I voice, because I've played Megatron in a couple of things for some Transformers shows.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. So for that, it's kind of in a similar vein, but it's a little more forceful. Like Megatron is more like this, so it's a little more forward, a little more like a rumbling engine, whereas Omen is a little more ethereal. So, like you have to just, so that's just sort of bouncing down to my chest, up to my throat, down to my chest, up to my throat, so just finding where to put the voice for the various characters is always fun. I always like that challenge of trying to see what this character sounds like,
Yeah. So tell me, thank you so much for following, guys. Skye Gatto followed, and someone just followed just then. I can't actually read it on my screen at the moment, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the following. So tell me how you got into voice acting. Tell me how this has happened for you, what your career is. Are you an actor as well, or you just do voiceover?
Well, I started off doing theater stuff, so I did have that time where I used to do theater stuff. I had started doing that in high school, just because I had always wanted to do it, but had never really. And at that point, voiceover was just sort of something I was playing around with, because I did, impressions and things like that. And especially when I was a really little kid, I used to have a micro cassette recorder, which would, so I would use that to, sometimes I would even like record like a show or a movie and then go through the tape and like dub over the voice of another character and sort of do my version of it or whatever.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. So that was the thing that was a lot of fun to, kind of play around and figure out where I can put my voice and whatever. And so that helped a lot in terms of like figuring out like vocal elasticity and all that. And then, doing theater was something I loved, because there's just nothing quite like the roar of the crowd and everything.
Yeah.
There's just nothing like it. You definitely don't get it in voiceover. It's you and the director and the engineer. And while we all are nice to each other and will absolutely be like, thanks for a great session and thanks for, there's just something about the ecstasy of the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the community of your castmates and stuff.
Oh yeah. Exactly, that's true. Yeah, we don't really get that as much anymore. Certainly not during COVID times, when we don't really go much into studios certainly not with other actors. But yeah, it was, so that's pretty much where it all started. And then from there, when I went to college, that was where I sort of started to lean a little more into voiceover, because I started off doing theater, and then as it went on, I wasn't a huge fan of how the theater courses were being instructed, so I was like, I'm going to move into something. No, wait, I skipped a part. I originally went to college for screenwriting, because writing is something that I enjoy. Yeah, so that's initially what I went for, and then that sort of petered into I wanted to move more into the acting thing, so I switched departments to the theater department. What is history? And then when I was in the theater department, I wasn't a huge fan of there was a lot of kind of cosmic stuff from a lot of my instructors. The very kind of yoga-esque, like sit and feel the stars and bunnies coming out of your head and things like that. And it's like, what? No, can't we just sit and talk about? Can't we just break down scenes and just do the? Come on. It was just a little too cosmic for me. So one of my buddies was in the radio department, and I was like, "Ooh, the radio department." He's like, "Yeah, they have a voiceover section too." I'm like, "Done what?" So I switched over there. And
so you did radio?
Yeah. I ran the college radio station for a bit. It was 88.1 WCRX, Chicago's Underground.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So what's really funny is that it calls itself Chicago's Underground. They play top 40 stuff. There's nothing underground about it at all. But I adored everyone in the radio department. Everyone was so giving and kind and wonderful and informative, and they were all like, you know, working in the field and everything. Like I took voiceover courses with Deb Dotzer and Jeff Lupetin and things like that. And eventually, as college went on, I took some. Deb actually had a joint course with Pat Fraley, so I got to you know, learn under him for a little bit too. So got more and more into voiceover through the radio department, and ended up getting my my bachelor's degree in radio, because it made me drop out of the theater stuff, because I really liked being able to, you know, play anyone without needing to put on a costume or makeup or anything like that, without having to, you know, do any of that kind of rigmarole. So it was, and you can play anything, you know, I can play a talking shoe, I can play, you know, like whatever, or Megatron or whatever, you know, like it doesn't matter. So that really drew me to voiceover. And so yeah, by the time I got out of there, I almost got a minor in voiceover, but they were like, if you stay for another year, you'll have the credits for a minor in voiceover. I'm like, no thanks, I don't need that, goodbye. You know, because it's like nobody would really care if you have a degree in voiceover. Like, you know, it's just, are you good? That's all that really matters. You know, like, can you take direction? You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's the abridged version of me and the time I spent actually in school doing school things.
So that's so interesting, and what a great place to start, and a really strong foundation, I'm sure. So you're in Chicago, and then you go, okay, I'm going to go to LA, right? Is that the transition?
Well, the first thing I did was, after I graduated, I was still doing freelance voiceover work, and, you know, did a couple of audiobooks and things like that for some private folks and things like that. But I tried to get a voiceover agent in Chicago. But the first one, this was when I was, you know, just got out of college, so I was still young, but I still sounded like this. It was interesting, because the first person that actually gave me a shot and said, yeah, come on in, bring him in, was a connection through someone else, and they were like, yeah, they'd love to meet you and whatever, because they heard my demo and everything. So I went to the, you know, sort of, and it's a pretty standard thing, you know, just to explain to the listeners, they meet with you, they sort of get to know you a little bit. It's not quite an interview, but then they're like, we got some scripts that we thought would fit your voice, and let's go test them out and stuff. So they knew that I was early 20s something, but I think they got confused somewhere along the line too, because one of the people who scheduled me in seemed to think from my demo that I was an elderly black man. I don't quite know why. And then so I walked in there, and they're like, Jason? I'm like, yes. So yeah, it was very bizarre. And so because I mean, what are you supposed to say to that? And then on top of it, I have a bad knee, so I occasionally use a cane to, you know, just hobble around. So I got into the booth after they were apparently disappointed that I was not an elderly black man. Which honestly, I suppose I am too.
That's a fucking compliment, dude. Because that means you have an epic voice. Like,
oh yeah, no, I wasn't insulted by it so much as confused.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Like, I don't hear that, you know, I don't hear it. But yeah, especially because I'm just, you know, some dude from Indiana. So
yeah, you know, you're like a 20-something white guy, and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, not at all what they were thinking. But so I hobble into the booth there, and the scripts that they gave me were things that were in my age bracket, which they must have just grabbed real quick once they found out I was not elderly or a black man. So they grabbed what seemed to be random scripts that fit in my age bracket. It was something for like a really super exciting Mario game or something that my voice is not right for. A super exciting Mario game. You know, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, and the other one was for was like the broiest Bud Light commercial that's ever been put to paper. Like, it was just, you know, not even in a way that I could, you know, make it a Bud Light or whatever, like, because that I can do. But this was more like summer fun. You're cool, and I'm not, because I'm the announcer. You know, whatever. Yeah. So it was a bunch of nonsense. And so I go in there to try and read these things. There's no seat there. I'm leaning on my cane. I'm like, can I sit down? They're like, no. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Oh, what?
Nice. Real nice. So yeah, it was quite an experience. So I get in there and I destroy myself trying to make these things sound like I'm a 20-something person. And then basically I'm told, you know, like, come back when your voice matches your age. And I'm like, what does that mean? Who cares? Like, it shouldn't matter.
Oh,
That's just, I
wow.
think that was just a nice way of saying no, which is like, fair enough. Like, I'd rather you just told me. But, so that was dampening. But also, like, Chicago is very much a commercial place. It's not really a place for like video games or animation, which is more what I wanted to do. So, from there, like, you know, I just ended up, you know, I had met some friends like Amber Lee Connors, who runs Sound Cadence Studios, which does anime dubbing and things like that. And she was good enough to give me a shot doing some anime. So I started off doing that, and then found out I really enjoyed it. I don't really watch a lot of anime, but it's fun to do dubbing stuff. So got more into that. And
dubbing's such a sweet gig.
It's fun. It's really fun. I mean, sometimes it feels a little bit constraining because it's like, you know, here's the line. You cannot act it fully because you have to fit it within the space of like your lip flaps, you know, so you can't necessarily pull at the drama of everything. But yeah, so I mean, so anime got started and stuff just ramped up, and eventually my now fiance, she's been out here for you know, her whole life, and so I was like, well, it's about time that I move to California to, one, be with her, and to two, see if I can try my luck, you know, doing voiceover out here. And thankfully, it's panned out a little bit because I got to be in Valorant and you know, some other cool
and
things.
some other really cool things as well.
Yeah. So it's been really nice. I'm
Is
grateful,
your girl
you know?
a voiceover artist? What does your fiance do?
She is she's not in the arts, although I keep encouraging her to do so, because she has a gorgeous voice. But she also is like, you know, great at, she did like improv in college and stuff like that. So she's really got the chops to like really do it.
Yeah.
But she's she works doing stuff for a nonprofit. So she's, you know, helping to get some folks employed and things like that at a veterans something. I don't remember exactly what how to explain it.
She's doing something good. She's doing something good.
Doing something good for the world.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. That's so interesting. I find that fascinating. And you know what I like about this, and I hope everyone listening, you know, I know that there are people that might want to do voiceovers themselves and stuff that might be watching the stream. And like, just to clarify, like, you live in LA, you've voiced some iconic characters, and I know who represents you out here, and you have very, very good rep out here for voiceovers. And that you had someone said no to you initially. I think that's a really important thing to remember. You know, the amount of no's you get doesn't mean shit. You know?
Exactly. No, it doesn't mean shit at all. Like, you know, there's always another avenue. There's always another place. There's always another agency. There's always forward. You know, you got to keep moving. And, you know, sometimes you just got to build up slowly. I mean, Lord knows that my sort of ascent, if there is one, it wasn't quick. So, you know, like, I still don't consider myself, you know, like, oh man, it's that voiceover guy. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
People can't even say his name right. So.
I think it's important to remember that, that people say no. Izzy Romo in the chat said that person who said no must be kicking themselves. And it's so true. And it's also so funny because I actually had rep out here that I think I faced a similar thing with, where they didn't sort of know what to sort of do with my voice and like what kind of roles I could play. And I was auditioning a lot for British characters because I do a British accent sometimes. And they kept getting me British voiceovers, but the auditions were for old British women. And so I and in the end, you know, that I got dropped by this agency, and they were like, yeah, you're not booking these jobs. And I'm like, yeah, because I consistently am auditioning for like elderly British women. You know, like, I don't think that's
pull me out of one age bracket at least, please.
Like, it was just weird. Like, I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is my niche. And I think that just because it might be a voice you could sort of do doesn't necessarily mean that that's your thing. Like, I want to do a lot of younger voices. Like, I want to do like children's voices, which I guess is weird, but I want to do it for animation.
No, not weird at all. Besides, and you know, this may sound shallow, but there's good money in that.
Oh, I know. Maybe.
So like there's nothing wrong with wanting to honestly, especially working in anime a lot. A lot of the protagonists in the anime shows that have been coming out in the last chunk of years are all young guys and whatnot. So, and I can't do that. I can't get up there to that. So I'm never going to really land the anime protagonist role, I don't think, because they're usually children.
Yeah,
so,
you have too deep of a voice for that, I think.
Exactly. I can make it go higher, but I can't sound like a child. Even when I was a child, I'm pretty sure I hopped out of the womb like, "Mother, may I have a cigar?" Like whatever.
I would like a whiskey.
Please, mother.
That's so interesting. You know what? I had a voiceover casting director tell me, and I thought this was really fascinating. They were talking to me about my voice that I do as a little girl, and they were saying to me, and this is something that I was working on a lot during the pandemic, was they said really try to find your little boy voice, because they said little boys are voiced by women because men can't do a little boy voice. There's just no way. Their voices are broken. Oh, yeah. So I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But it's hard to figure out as a woman how, because a little boy's voice still doesn't sound like a female voice. It's hard to sort of figure that out. But
yeah.
I've spent some days in my room doing little boy voices, and it's pretty weird. Yeah,
but no, there's always demand for that. So by all means, I think you should dive into that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've watched the Rugrats a lot, so
there you go. Yes,
I do a pretty good Tommy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So okay, I think everyone here just really wants to hear about. Tell me about Omen. Tell me how this came into your life. Like, how you got, what did you know? Do you play games? I mean, just tell me everything.
Okay, well, I did play games.
You did?
Once upon a time. Yeah, I don't really anymore, because I gave up updating systems and consoles after about the PS2. So like that was when more buttons happened and the controllers were different. I'm like, I can't keep up with this. I am an old soul. So I'm like, I don't understand this technology. Like, I didn't have an iPhone until most of the way through college. I didn't have a cell phone until college. So like, I couldn't be bothered with this infernal technology and these contraptions always bleeping at me, whatever that was.
Yeah.
So
you would
I've never
hate streaming
been like,
on Twitch.
Yeah, I can't stream on Twitch. I got nothing. I don't do the TikTok. I don't do, I can't do it. I should do it. But it's one of those, that's a problem for another day kind of things,
Yeah.
One of the only things I'll keep up to date on is trying to keep the tech in my studio up to date and things like that, like my mic and my cables and things like that. This thing I only use for streaming because Discord for some reason on a Mac does not like my XLR setup for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because they have this thing where it's like, well, we are planning to update for Mac someday. And it's like,
I know. I stream off a Mac and it's a fucking nightmare.
Oh God, then you know exactly.
Yeah, it's my mod wants to seriously kill me all the time. It's so fucking annoying. Shit just stops working. It's just you need a PC. I gotta buy a PC. But anyway.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yes, so video games. So my grandmother, who is long past, she, my grandma Z, she used to have, because her sons grew up when they came out and stuff like that, the original Nintendo, the NES, and the Super Nintendo. So she had those downstairs. She had two regular NES systems in 2 rooms, and then one of them had a Super Nintendo. So we grew up when we were really young playing those games and stuff like that, Super Mario World, even Mario 3, Contra 3, things like that, Zelda, the original Link to the Past and things like that, so different Zelda games, so that kind of thing. So we were used to playing those, so give me a side scroller and I'm happy. But it's games like Valorant that are, multiplayer online. Oh my God, it's frantic and everything is everywhere. That's the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, I got to sit down. This is a lot.
It's hard, dude.
It's a little too intense for me. Yeah, it's a little too intense for me. I've not played I've played maybe one game that I've ever been in, and that was more of a one of those visual novel things. So it was a little easier to, you know, deal with because I'm just not a big competitive gamer guy. I'm just not. So yeah, so that's where that started off. Actually, it was kind of funny. My grandma used to the way that she would she was a big Tetris fan. She loved to play Tetris, and she like, you know, she was just one of those puzzle-minded people because she would also, you know, just like make huge, gorgeous puzzles on her table and everything. But she would play Tetris with the original controller, which is, you know, this square thing, right? So it was the square controller, which usually you play like this, but she would face it away from her and play it using her index fingers. I don't know how she did it, but she was a wizard at it, and she played so much Tetris that the tube TV that was downstairs at her house, if you turned it off, it was a black screen, but it had the Tetris screen burned into it. So it was always present in the background. Yeah, she loved her Tetris. So yeah, I mean, so I come by some earlier gaming that was perhaps a little before my time, pretty honestly, because I, you know, just grew up playing that at her house, and so that's where that started. And the other thing was about Omen, I think you said. Yeah.
So tell me how you booked the job. Like, how did that happen? And did you know what it was when you got it? Like, obviously it hadn't come out yet, so.
It hadn't come out yet. I remember the audition being, you know, a pretty plain sheet of paper with the description of the character and things like that, and vague descriptions of the voice, like I said, and then a picture of, I think he was called Wraith back then. I think that he had some sort of other name. It wasn't Omen.
Cool, Wraith.
Yeah, and so he had, you know, but the concept art was pretty similar. He was just sort of, you know, that the figure standing there kind of hunched over. He had the cowl over his face and these sort of grasping, creepy hands, and stuff like that. So I remember being really taken with that. I think I also auditioned for, what's Steve Bloom's character?
Breach? Brimstone?
Breach? Is it Breach? Okay, I was going to say Breach, but I was like, am I making that up? Sorry, Steve, I love you, but I just forgot. I'm bad at things when they happen. So yeah, I got that audition, and it was, you know, it seemed pretty much in my wheelhouse, both Breach and then Omen. But Omen I was way more interested in because he was really spooky looking, and I love, you know, horror and ghost stories.
Oh my god, that's such an exciting character to play. Way more exciting, honestly. Let's be real.
Yeah, so I was of the two, I was like, ooh, this Omen character, you know, there's this Wraith character, like he looks so spooky, and I love the, you know, and when they asked for Brimstone, not Breach, that's it, Brimstone. Where'd we get Breach from?
Okay. Well, apparently
Brimstone.
Okay, thanks for letting us know, y'all.
Okay. Boom. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. You'll have to forgive me. Breach and Brimstone. Which? Oh, fair enough. Brimstone, though. Yes, that's it. I apologize a second time, Steve. Anyway, where was I? Yes. So, you know, one of the things that really made me interested in the Omen thing was the death noises that they wanted, because usually with auditions, just for everybody else out there too, usually with auditions of this kind in like an action game and stuff, they'll ask you for dialogue bits and then maybe some efforts like fighting noises, you know, like you know, things like that, like going up in intensity, but then also injury sounds, like if you get hit and whatever, you know. So
they're so hard to do.
Yeah, they can be a lot, especially when it's like, you know, you're lifting up a little thing. Like, you still have to make a noise for it, even if it's like, I don't make noises when I lift up a bottle, you know, but you still have to make a noise.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, you know, so that's probably honestly worse for me than, like, you know, you pick up a heavy thing, you know, like whatever. That's a little easier because you can kind of picture it. But like, you know, why would I make a sound? But everything has to have a noise. It's kind of like in movies. If someone aims a gun, it's going to make a cocking sound, even if they didn't do anything to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things. But yeah, so I got, the thing that intrigued me the most was the sort of death rattle sounds that they wanted. Because I thought, ooh, what if they're like really spooky, like hollow, like sort of weird noises, you know? Like,
oh my goodness.
You know, things like that, just weird, hollow, wispy, ethereal strange sounds. So I got to,
I have goosebumps.
yeah, so I got to do all these weird things with that. And I think that might have been one of the things that endeared them to me, was that I was willing to make strange sounds. And then, yeah, so I got the call back for that after I auditioned. And when I went in, they had, there were a couple of other actors who were also in the callback. And so we were just sort of chatting and, like, hey. And then as, one went in, and then I was after him, and then there was a third after me. And they were actors that I adore. So for a little bit there, I assumed, well, this was a good time, but
I'm not getting this.
I think I'm not getting this, so I, you know what I mean? So I was just like, okay. But went in and, we were directed to do different things. And, like we kind of worked on the character a little more there and had some more ideas about, what he might sound like. And, I had his powers explained more to me and stuff. And I got to see, some of the animation eventually. And so, yeah, from there, we just sort of worked on it a little more. It was a little more than just like, do it this way, do it this way. It was a little more like, what if he's like, it was a little more exploratory than that, is my memory of it, was that it was a little more, we got to play a little bit more, which was nice. Because, usually it's like, all right, impress us, or whatever it is. But I didn't get that sense at all. Yeah, so it was nice. And that's and then a couple weeks later or whatever, I was told that I booked the character, and I was like, oh wait, no, really? Why? But I decided not to ask why.
Yeah, best not to.
Best to just thank the stars and be pleased that being anything but grateful for the work you get, and then being able to do this for a living is the wrong approach, I think,
Wow, dude, that's fucking crazy. So did you have a sense that it was a big deal because you saw you saw the level of the other actors that were auditioning for it? Yeah.
Yeah, that absolutely did it for me. That's when I was like, oh, this is one of those gigs.
Yeah.
I see. Like that was very, kind of, so not that I was going in there like, whatever, but, it was definitely like, oh, I'd better put my tie on and do the, I'd better straighten up, and this is big time adults, like whatever. Very, very intense difference of, being outside, you walk inside, oh, this is real. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
And so it gave me a little bit more perspective on that. So now I sort of treat every callback or gig as like, even more like just really approach it professionally, and not to anticipate or expect or doubt myself or anything, like just go in and just leave it all in the booth, as it were, like just go in and do what you're asked on a callback or an audition, and then just, it's best to try and forget it, as they say, but sometimes it's hard to do that after a really fun audition. So that was definitely one where I really hoped that I got it,
Yeah, I've gone into some auditions, honestly not for voiceovers, but for fucking acting jobs, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and then I'll be like, oh shit, that person's auditioning for this, like that person's like kind of low-key famous or something, and like you know what I mean, and you're just like, oh great, fuck, I'm not gonna book this, It's an interesting feeling, that feeling. I think it's a very specific thing that we have, where you walk into a room and you go, oh fuck. Like, it's a very scary feeling. But you know what's so crazy, dude? I mean, I think my experience was so specific because when I got the audition, it didn't say that it was for Valorant. So if I had known that it was Valorant, I would have Googled it, and to be honest, I would have seen Steve's name on IMDb, and it would have made sense to me that it was a big deal. But because it wasn't called Valorant in the brief, it just said it was a video game, I didn't really know how big of a deal it was. And I auditioned, and it was deep COVID. So, how you record, you're in your room, you're by yourself, and you send off this tape, whatever. And then I didn't get a call back or anything. I just got a call like 6 weeks later, and my manager was like, oh, you booked, I got an email actually, just saying that I'd booked Valorant. And I was literally, I remember I was like walking down the street and I was like, oh, I booked a little job. I literally thought it was like just no big thing. Like I was just like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, wow, they really want me to record for like a chunk of time, huh? Like this isn't like one day, you know? Mm-hmm. So then I go in, and when I got in there, they, you know, my character was called Emily at the time. Skye was called Emily. And they explained everything to me and like showed me some of the gameplay and stuff, and then literally were like, oh yeah, like I think they literally said to me like, oh, this is a big deal, like this game is a really big game and people are gonna be interested to know like who you are and stuff. And I genuinely thought that they were like full of shit. I was like, there's no way. I was like, yeah, right. And
the Valorant community has been great about that kind of thing. Like, they've all been very kind to me, and you know, they like Omen and things like that. So they've been a real delight. And also, you're right. It reminds me that when I got the audition, it was called Project A.
Yes. Yeah. How interesting.
Yeah. It was called Project A, and so I was like, that's awfully mysterious.
Yes.
You know, I've worked with some things that have, you know, like working titles and stuff, because I know that I'm in World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and that one had I think an alternate title as well, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where they have to cover it up with a at least some sort of placeholder title, so that you don't go blowing what it is.
No, 100%. And the thing is, I've noticed when I audition for animation, you'll know the show, right? Like you'll be like, okay, I'm auditioning for this show on this network or whatever it is, right? Like Netflix or whatever. Yeah. But video games, you don't really ever know, like you'll know, oh, okay, it's through Riot or it's through Blizzard. It's like, it'll say that, but it won't say it won't say the name of the game. And you're always signing so many NDAs that like,
yeah, oh boy.
It's so interesting how secretive the video gaming community is. I guess because people are leaking
I'm always
it.
Fascinated by that. Yeah. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the folks below who are any of these emotes that are Omen as a cat. I find delightful. I love that a lot of people draw Omen with it, because I have a little black cat named Hecate. And so I love that when people draw Omen with a little black cat, because I'm just like, it's Hecate.
It's
it's my girl. It's my baby.
Oh
so
my
I'm delighted
goodness.
by that.
Have you seen my baby? Have you seen Rainbow?
I have. I saw you on your announcement video just earlier. Oh my God. So cute.
Her little head. God, that cat. I mean, you get it, Jason, the love I have for this cat. It's unbelievable. I would do anything for her. She's so fucking cute, dude. Okay, someone said something that I wanted to shout out. Orange DD, hi my dude. You said, I always feel guilty watching this. Successful people talking about successful stuff in their lives. Meanwhile, I'm in bed thinking if I want a skin or not. Orange DD, I can assure you that neither Jason nor myself thinks of ourselves as successful.
No. No.
I think Jason's successful, but we don't think of ourselves like that. So
no, I do not think of myself as successful. I think of myself as lucky to be getting by. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you know, it's so randomly, it can be a dry month entirely where you just don't book anything.
Yeah.
You know, because our job is essentially to audition. You know, that's really what our job is just constantly auditioning. And, you know, then you get a gig and that's great. But, you know, like more of what we do on the day to day is constantly just auditioning. And sometimes that just doesn't pan out. And sometimes you just have a completely dry whole month, you know, especially like near the end of the year and stuff. Like that's when it can dry up because they stop producing, you know, video game stuff and whatnot sometimes for a couple months at a time, or you just don't book. And sometimes that happens. So, and sometimes that can lead to some, you know, like real depressive episodes and whatnot. And, you know, what am I doing with my life? And, you know, that sort of thing. So,
oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, it's not all sunshine and roses, you know, like sometimes it's really mentally straining and a little difficult to kind of keep yourself going.
Oh, dude, I just had therapy before this, and I was like telling my therapist all of that. I'm like, the amount of rejection that you deal with in this industry, you know, especially consistently auditioning for acting stuff as well, it's just so much rejection. It's bananas how much you deal with it. Like, and it can be very, I definitely think that every so often I have like a little depressive episode because I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? So it's okay, like, to talk about that. I think people need to talk about it more. It's really tough, you know?
Yeah, it is, and it can be, you know, because it's like, oh my God, am I not good at this anymore? You know, like, was I ever good at it? You know, like that sort of thing. Like, there's a lot of, you know, just and it may seem so silly because, you know, I mean, I appreciate acting as an art, you know, and all of the things that go into it, but at the same time, it is not neurosurgery, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's, you know, that insanely complex that, like, you know, not everyone can, you know, try and do it and whatever. So, you know, it's weird to be like, you know, sometimes I get sad when I don't, you know, like, it feels so dramatic, but you know, it's just the situation you're in where it's like, hey, this is what I do for a living. This is what I've been doing to some degree of success. And then all of a sudden there's just nothing, you know,
well,
like, how
it's your job
about yourself. Yeah. And so, you know, it's all about how you deal with that and how you keep going. And you have to remember, you know, like, sometimes there's just dry spells for everything, you know, like, sometimes there's just no work to be had, or they've already got casts for all of these things and things like that. And sometimes, you know, like, it's just all about, for me anyway, it's all about trying to just keep self-motivating and, you know, like, keep going. And, you know, there's always more. It's a big enough pond for everybody. So there's always more. There's always more gigs to get, always more people to meet, always more connections to make, always more friends to have. So, you know, it's always it's usually pretty up the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Sippy's21 for following and Panther XLR8 for following. I love it. You guys are the best. In a minute, I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, so Josh P said, I auditioned for my first voice acting gig for a few months ago, having no experience. It was a low budget film and I wanted to try out. I never got an email back, which was a real heartbreaker. Oh yeah, you never hear a damn thing. Yeah.
Like, some people want to get rejection letters, and I'm like, I'd rather not, ultimately, because it's better to just let it. The trickiest thing that took me a while to learn about voiceover is that once you audition, let it go. Don't think about it. Don't want it too much. You know, like, just let it go. Just next thing, you know, like, next thing. So it's hard to do that, though, especially on, like, earlier stuff or, like, first auditions and things like that. Like, I get that is definitely, especially when you're just sitting there, you know, like, waiting for the next audition, which may not be lined up and whatever. So yeah, I can sympathize with that. It can be a lot. You know, I get that. But, you know, kudos on you for trying that. I think that's great. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where the worst you can hear is no, or I suppose worse than that, depending who you are, the worst you can hear is nothing. But in the case of voiceover, but you know, that's essentially a no. So, like, you know, the worst you can do is get a no, but at least you tried, and, you know, that's experience right there. Oh,
100%. God, don't even. Yeah, I have gotten really good at not caring about the outcome of things. Like, I really am good about that, but it's just years of. I also think, and this actually might not be the right attitude to have, I actually never expect that I'm going to book things. Maybe I should
I'm the
expect.
Same way. I'm the same way. No, I'm the same way. I never expect it. I never look at something, because I know that some voice actors are, I can't recall who had said it on a podcast thing, but they said that sometimes they get auditions in and they're like, this is mine, is the attitude that they take with it. And I'm like, I don't know. That's too presumptuous. I'm like too, like, Midwestern polite to ever say something like that, you know, or not that it's rude, but just like that kind of directiveness just doesn't come from me. So I couldn't imagine doing that. Yeah, I'm very much like, I'm going to give it my all. This is what I think the character sounds like. This is what I think the emotional intent is of the lines I'm provided. Here you go. And then, all right, on to the next thing, you know, like that, just sort of try my best. There have been a few gigs where, you know, I have been disappointed when I didn't get it. And so, you know, I'm not free of that. Yeah. But I really try to just let it go, just off into the ether, you know, just let it all be.
Yeah. And also to that point, actually, I had been signed to a voiceover agency for a year and I hadn't booked a single thing. And I called my agency and I was like, literally called the voiceover department and said, should I quit because I'm not booking anything? And they told me that most people don't book anything for the first year of being signed to an agency. And they were like, you are up against seasoned professionals. You're up against people that have been doing this for years, that do this full time, all day, every day. And you have just, you know, dipped your toe in to give it a crack. Like, you have to be realistic. And I, like, a couple of months after that, booked my first video game. So I think that you have to be realistic about the career and, like, the amount of time it might take. Like, that's not going to be everyone's journey, but my journey creatively has always been that things have always taken time for me. They haven't just been immediate.
No, you're absolutely right. Because, like, as the saying goes, you know, well, there's two sayings. There's one that 10% of the talent gets 90% of the work. And which is unfortunate, but true. Especially with such a big pond and everyone can record at home now. It's like, you know, like, why can't, come on. I think it's interesting, though, that I think voiceover is kind of opening up a little more in that area, because they're having, you know, like, I'm recording stuff in Texas and all over the place now. So, you know, from here, like, I don't have to fly over to Texas anymore. So that's great, you know, and I think that that's opening opportunities for other people as well. But yeah, I think the other saying that I think seems to be pretty true is that, especially in voiceover, you know, if you're at this consistently working for like 10 years, then you're an overnight success. You know, like, it's not, because actual overnight success just doesn't happen, you know. So if you're like, so it takes a lot of amount of time to seem to have been an overnight success. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love talking to you. It's so interesting. I'm just like, it's crazy.
No. Nonsense.
It's just really interesting.
Don't shut up.
It's been so interesting talking to all the VAs I've been, you know, really lucky to talk to so many of the VAs in Valorant, and just everyone's experience and journey is so different. Like, you know, Shannon, she's the voice of Jet. Just like she was.
She's wonderful. She seems like she's fantastic. I want us all to hang out, you know? Like, I want this COVID thing to be done with, and I want us all to hang out.
She's so hilarious, and she's so sassy. I, like, love her. She, like, really, like, she's awesome. And, you know, she was a K-pop star. Like, I don't know if you know that. Isn't that crazy?
I did, yeah. Yeah, like, that's insane to me. Like, it's so cool. Like, I love all the different backgrounds everyone's from. It's so nuts to me. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, everyone just has such different... I'm sure you feel like that about a lot of... Are you friends with, like, a lot of people from games you're in?
Yeah, I'm usually friends with people from, like, you know, especially anime and stuff like that, because, you know, there's a general pool from, you know, both here and Texas where they usually pull from. So yeah, I'm friends with a lot of the folks I work with. That's why one of the reasons I was so delighted when you reached out and stuff, because I was like, it's Skye, and also like, oh my gosh, I get to be friends with, you know, like, another person on Valorant. Like, oh my god, because I'd already spoken with Carolina.
Yeah, she's epic.
And oh my gosh, she's so cool. She's so cool. I aspire to be that cool. Someday. But yeah, I've getting to kind of learn who everybody is through interviews like this, because, you know, I'll watch other people's channels and stuff who are interviewing the VAs, and I'm just delighted to get to learn about these folks.
You would really you should reach out to Gabe. He voices KO. He's so nice.
Oh my gosh, KO is so spooky. I like KO. KO's awesome.
KO's awesome. And dude, have you seen the amount of stuff that Gabe has done?
Yeah. When he was announced, I was like, okay, who's this? Oh, I know that. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that.
He's he's been the voice of so many things. I'm like, bro, it's crazy. Okay. Crazy. So I know, you know, I want to give the people what they want. People want to hear you doing some of these voice lines. So hang on 2 seconds. Just let me refresh my Twitch. Guys, please comment anything that you might want Jason to say. We would love to know. And also...
throw me some Omen lines. That are Omen lines.
Yes.
I don't want to say anything wildly inappropriate. I'll do that on my own time.
Off stream.
Yes.
And also, I know that I say something to you, so I'm going to try to
Yeah.
find out what it is, but I know I say some shit to Omen.
And if you can find, if someone can find the line that I say to Skye too, that would be awesome. Because
Yes.
I know that there's that line, but I don't know the exact wordage, so I'd love to say it proper.
Okay, so someone said, Sage, the life you give, do you ever wonder where it's taken from?
Yes. Sage, the life you give. Do you ever wonder where it's taken from?
Yeah, I love that line.
Oh, he's
That's one of my
so
favorites.
creepy.
He's so creepy. The fact that he can just like appear behind you and stuff and just be weird.
Do you, dude, you need to get a Cameo account. People would
Oh,
love.
I have a Cameo account.
Oh my God, you do?
You can do Cameo. Oh yeah. I can do cameos, and I've done a good chunk as Omen actually. So it's funny because it's always for like really innocent things, like, you know, someone's down on their day or something like that, and or someone's it's a birthday or something like that. So it's always fun to have to condense that kind of thing into something that Omen would say. You know what I mean? But not anything that's mean, obviously, but just something that's within that kind of I knit when I'm nervous thing, you know, like that whole thing, you know, or whatever his, I'm glad that I think I heard that they had taken out the knitting line and then they put it back in. The Phoenix says something to Omen like, you know, hey, I like that you knit, it's really cute. And then Omen says like, it helps me focus.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Omen knits, to keep his focus on keeping himself together. Yeah,
oh
isn't that
my
awesome?
God, I fucking love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I heard that they had taken that out, but then they put it back in. So I'm delighted because that's one of my favorite character pieces. The idea of Omen just sitting there, just meticulously knitting.
Oh my God, Omen's
really love
cute.
that.
He's so cute.
He is like he can be really, really cute because I think that cuteness actually kind of stems from his sort of like, you know, tragic gothic kind of Phantom of the Opera, you know, don't look at me, I am fear, you know, whatever. That whole thing I think is kind of where that comes from, is that because that's what I like about playing him, is that I look at him that kind of way, like he's actually kind of tragic. You know, he's kind of sad. You know, there's something sad about him. There's something he lost. You know what I mean? There's something he lost that he's trying to get back.
Maybe he lost his love.
He might have. He certainly lost his semblance of humanity. So I think he's trying to find something. I don't know what it is. But that's how I always played him, was this sort of tragic character. So because of that, I think it's easier to be like, oh, Omen, you know, like it's easier to kind of pat him on the head a little bit. You know, he probably wouldn't like it, but you can pat him on the head. You know?
Okay, so I don't know if you're following chat, babe, but
I am.
He said, oh, Chinstrap30 subscribed. I appreciate you, darling. Thanks so much for subscribing, you sweet soul. Okay.
I do see this one. I know this one. I know that this is one people like a lot.
Watch them run.
Oh.
People really like watch them run. They like watch them run. They like scatter.
Scatter.
Yeah, they like that one.
Okay, so you say to me, Skye the Life Weaver, the power to create. Can you see that in chat?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Skye the Life Weaver, the power to create, to destroy. Which path will you embrace, I wonder?
Wow. Oh my God. You say, people are commenting them, you say, I'll make them remember they're only human.
I'll make them remember they're only human.
My goodness. And you say to me, oh, there's a terrible beast inside you, Scott. Oh, that honest to God gives me goosebumps.
Line. That's a delicious line, because that's like, you know, ooh, it's like insisting like other character traits onto someone else, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me all right, let's hear.
Oh, there's a terrible beast inside you, Skye. Unleash it.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, literally.
Now you got to do one. You got to do one. You got to do one.
I want to find, guys. Santi, can you look and see what I say to Omen? Skye voice lines. Let's look this up. To Omen. Oh, okay. Omen, when you teleport, I don't know, sometimes I lose you. Does that make sense?
Yes. I know where you're coming from.
Oh my god. That's so cute. Hang on, I know that I say something else to you. So if anyone can find what I say to you, I would love to hear it. I'm going through. I should have had this prepared. I'm really sorry.
No.
my
I will not
goodness.
accept your apologies. You're a delight, and I'm having a lot of fun, so I will accept no apologies today.
Okay, well, I'll just say a few then that I say, on the cameo and stuff. What does Skye say when she flies? Okay. Okay.
Oh, there's that Omen, all that slinking around makes you hard to track line.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Omen, all that slinking around makes you hard to track. She's very, excited.
So excited. That's what I love about her. See, everyone says sort of wholesome, but I don't know if it's necessarily wholesome to me, but it's just very present in the moment and eager. There's this kind of freshness to her that I think is so delightful and endearing. I'd watch a buddy adventure with Omen as the straight man and Skye. You know what I mean?
It's funny because sometimes you don't know how you come across, and someone recently said to me that I seemed so enthusiastic. They were like, you have this energy of enthusiasm about you. And I was like, what? Really? And I was like, I didn't know that.
It's true though, because you're a very encouraging presence. You're magnetic. I like being here right now. You know what I mean?
Aww.
You're very easy to talk to, and the fact that you're excited when the person you're talking to says something or talks about something or whatever. I think that's really lovely. And I've been on plenty of interviews where they're like, so how did you get into voiceover? And I'm like, well, I did this and blah blah blah, like I said. And they're like, great, okay, and after that, what did you they're very like that, and it's like, oh, we're gonna have a real fun time for 2 hours.
I can't wait for this.
Yeah, so I've been on a couple of ones earlier on in my career that were very very severe and kind of if James Lipton had not been funny at all, it would have been like that, just very very quiet and sobering. It's like, all right. I thought we were voicing goofy cartoons. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'll try and be serious from now on.
Yeah. Oh, I've done some podcasts and been like, are we fighting? I've even had people come on stream that I'm like, do you hate this? Do you hate being here? It's fucking weird as shit to me. I'm
wow. Especially because it's like, you can just go somewhere else, you don't waste your own time.
You can just say no, I don't want to do it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say some of my lines.
Yes.
Everyone doesn't like this, but she's known for saying blinded, because I blind people. I say hawk out, hawk destroyed. I tell you what, a day on the farm would do these fellas good.
I mean, that's probably true.
I love this one that I say to Euro, because he shit talks me a little bit, he says some trash to me, and then he asks me if I want a flower. He goes, oh, do you want a flower girl, or some shit like that? And I say,
that's right, he calls you flower girl.
It calls me flower girl, and I say, no thanks, I've got enough. But call me a flower girl again, and I'll break your nose.
Good thing Omen didn't say it. I don't know if he has a nose.
Yeah.
Flower girl.
Oh my god. Josh P said, I feel like Omen has a very soft side to him. Yeah, he does. He has a little kindness to him.
I think he does, and I think that's the kind of thing he's trying to find again, because he's so concentrated on the amount of things he has to do to keep himself together in this form and whatever. I don't really understand it. But that's my interpretation of it. is that it's very, I think that there is something that he's trying to get his humanity back a little bit. You know what I mean? If he had it before, so
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a big question mark for me too, guys. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, we need to find out.
Yeah.
I have one more line that I say to you. I say, Omen, you monster! I mean it in a good way, I swear. That's so cute.
You know what? I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay, so Jace, we will wrap it up,
Yeah.
but the one thing that I want to ask you before we wrap up, just because I'm interested, is so tell me about all your little spooky endeavors and what you like what horror stuff are you into? Like what's your interest there?
Speaking of for 1 second, a lot of people were requesting it in the chat. They want me to say as Omen, ooh, which I guess is how you would pronounce that, U-W-U. I don't really know, but I'm guessing that's it. But anyway, so there's that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the horror of it all. I've always been an avid reader, and I enjoy books very much, and so I've always been a big fan of Gothic literature, especially and horror and things like that. Like the classics, like The Phantom of the Opera and Dracula and Frankenstein and The Invisible Man and things like that. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, things like that, or Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, as it were. Which apparently is how you're supposed to say it, but
really
I'm saying it wrong for forever. Apparently it's Jekyll. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Oh, that is so weird.
But it doesn't sound as cool. Jekyll for some reason sounds like a rusty ring of keys or something. Like there's something about that word. Yeah, Jekyll sounds like some sort of butter that you're supposed to spread on your face to keep wrinkles from showing up or something. Like, did you put the Jekyll on?
Jekyll sounds goofy. It doesn't sound
it
right.
Does. It sounds very strange. Yeah, apologies to anyone out there named Jekyll. But but in defense, I'm sure a lot of people have been calling you Jekyll your whole life. So anyway, so I always enjoyed that sort of thing, and I've been I've always loved old films as well, like pretty much of adaptations of things that I mentioned. I like the original from the 60s. The Haunting is still one of my favorite films of all time, horror films of all time. It's so creepy and suspenseful and things like that. So I love that kind of thing. I love Thomas Harris's work. Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, Hannibal, things like that. Anything with Hannibal Lecter, I love.
Did you read those books?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Good books.
Yeah. Good books, and then a couple of good movies, and then a really good show. I loved that Hannibal show when it came out. I feel like it lost its way in the third season a bit, but I did love Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter. I thought he was brilliant. But yeah, so those are the kinds of things I like. As a matter of fact, I was just reminiscing today about so the original 1925 Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera, which everyone surely is aware of, at least visually. So that had its my fiance and I came across a Film Preservation Society event a few years ago that I was just reminded of earlier today. And it was, they basically had taken, because there had been a few different cuts of the original film, but the original cut of the film has been lost. So, because it was 1925 when it first came out, and then those copies were lost. So they had to use negatives to try and reconstruct a different version for 1920, further down the line.
Wow.
And they tried to make a sound version out of it and stuff like that. That didn't quite work when sound was being invented for film. So yeah, so it was this whole chaotic mess. But some folks involved in this preservation society managed to take a whole bunch of the negatives and, using the original shooting script, actually cobbled together and pieced together by hand, using scissors and tape and everything, actually put together as best they could the original cut of the 1925 Phantom of the Opera. And it was on 35 millimeter film, and it was on a hand cranked camera phone, one of those old cameras, projected onto a wall.
Wow.
And there was an organist playing music to the picture live. So we got to see that, and it was spectacular.
it was a real event. I really loved that.
What were the differences, did you feel?
The differences were mostly like scene switches and things like that, and some stuff that had been cut out. Nothing too huge, but a couple of the things were they did have some of the original footage that had like still been preserved unburned from when, because I believe a studio had caught fire or something that destroyed the original negatives. So they had found some of that and whatnot. You know, some of it was imperfect. You know, because it was burned and singed on the edges of the film and everything. So it wasn't a perfect cut or anything, but it was really, really good throughout. It was really solid. The organist was brilliant.
Yeah,
they had a good explanation of everything when they were doing it. You know, they gave us a whole spiel before the movie started and everything. And it was just a really lovely evening. So yeah, I'm really into like the ghost story aspect of things and some psychological horror and things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I like. You know, I love. Give me a spooky old Victorian house, you know, and like I'm happy as a clam, you know, that kind of thing.
Do you like anything modern? Is there anything that's come out recently that you really like?
Yes, I really liked The Witch that came out. What was it, a couple of years ago? Oh, what a good movie that is! Oh, that movie's so good, dude. I love that movie.
The end of that movie haunts me. I can't think about it before bed.
My God. Yeah, I almost called it the Vavitch because that's what I've been calling it to all my friends, just to be specific about which version I'm talking about. Yeah, The Witch was excellent. So I really loved that. And by the same token, I really loved The Lighthouse, which I believe is the same director, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is. I fucking
I love The Lighthouse.
I fucking it made me angry. I was angry. That is so funny.
Because you didn't like it, or because of what was happening narratively?
Oh, I can't. I think I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. You know,
that's fair.
And it was so weird and random,
it's
and it
very weird.
It went on forever, and like I couldn't. It was beautiful. And the performances were incredible, but it was just so weird and like it's
very bizarre. Yeah. It's kind of got like a, you know, like a very strung out Terry Gilliam kind of feel to it. Like it's very bizarre. But yeah, I enjoyed that though. Not as much as The Witch. I liked The Witch more. But honestly, the thing that I guess I'm going to count it as kind of a horror film, kind of in that vein, psychologically anyway. It's a very strange film, but I mean, have you seen The Green Knight yet?
No. Is that a Marvel thing?
No.
Oh.
No, it is not. It's based on the Arthurian legend of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and it's very bizarre. It's a very strange. It's very atmospheric and strange and spooky.
Okay.
It's got a lot of spooky stuff in it. I do recommend seeing that. We had it's for rent on I think Amazon rents it. That's what we did because it's like it's in theaters, but I was like, hey, no thanks. COVID is still a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go to the theater. But yeah, so that was so we rented it and it was delightful. Definitely check out a trailer for it. It's very atmospheric and strange and really, really great performances throughout. So I really like that. I don't really go too much for any of the more recent, like more slashery things or anything like that.
Right.
I don't really like body horror very much. But you know, I'll go classic with, you know, like the original Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, things like that. Like I'll happily go for it. Like give me a goofy slasher any day. Not that I think those are goofy. The original ones aren't really goofy, but you know, but give me that kind of thing. What about you? What are you into? What do you recommend to throw my way?
Oh, I mean, I'm just my favorite all-time movie ever is Scream. I like watch Scream.
Good. Yeah.
When I'm sad, I like go and watch Scream.
Your comfort movie is Scream. That's valid. Scream's a good movie.
I love it.
Honestly,
I
put like Scream and like the Blair Witch Project are two of like the ones that are like just kind of little budget things that ended up being really good.
Yes.
Right? I love the Blair Witch Project. Like that's still a really solid, especially as an independent piece. Like that's really good.
Dude, I love it. I love it. And I loved the remake, but people really hated the remake. My friend, I mean, I'm a little biased. My friend was one of the producers of the remake, and he sent me the script. So I got to read it, and it was because I write horror. I actually write slashes and stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
But I don't think
we definitely have to talk more then because I want to hear more about this.
Yes, yes. But I don't think you'd be into the stuff I write, dude. Like, I write like slashes set on like college campuses and shit like that. Like, I really like that kind of like a cheesy, more like hot girl gets murdered vibe. Like, I do love that kind of shit, you know. Like,
I mean, I like that kind of stuff too. You know, like I'm not like above that or anything like that. Like, I love a good slasher. I mean, honestly, sometimes I like, you know, B-movie horror movies especially more than I like good horror movies, because they're fun to watch, you know, and like you get a kick out of them, or you can riff them or whatever, you know. Like, I like that kind of thing too. Like, I probably made it sound like I was really stuffy with my taste in things, but,
no, you didn't.
but just, you know,
I've
just
seen all the
soul.
movies you're talking about, and I'm just like,
I figured.
Oh, I mean, I love Ari Aster. Like, I think Hereditary is one of the scariest movies I've...
Oh, yes. Oh, good pick. Yes.
Dude,
oh my God.
that movie. Holy shit. It was bananas. And did you see Midsommar?
I haven't seen Midsommar, but I keep meaning to.
Dude, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I keep meaning to. That's what I'm gonna have to put more on my list. You know what I did see finally recently, because I hadn't seen it all the way through, was Mama. I hadn't watched that all the way through.
Oh, is it
That
good?
one's good.
Is
Yeah,
it?
It's good.
Yes.
I like Mama.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know him, but I like indirectly know the guy that wrote it. And yes, and I've heard, like, he actually kind of normally writes comedy stuff, but I've heard from so many people that it's actually fucking scary.
Yeah, it is. It's fucking creepy. Yeah.
I will tell you, when you see Midsommar, just like it's not like, yeah, it's such a mind fuck. Like, you're just like, what the fuck? It's not like Hereditary was. I mean, Ari Aster is insane. There's this, okay, so the guy that wrote The Witch and The Lighthouse, the guy that made it, he's on a, I can't think of his name and I apologize. He's on a podcast for A24 with Ari Aster, talking, and it's so interesting. You should listen to it. I'll find it for you.
I'll have to. Yeah.
And they talk about, you know, making movies, and Ari Aster says in that podcast that Midsommar is a metaphor for a breakup he was going through.
Oh,
I'm like, bro,
that's interesting.
I wouldn't want to date you.
Wow, yeah, that's a fierce breakup, friend. Holy damn!
Holy shit. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time, but I have just loved talking to you. I really want to, one time, we won't do it, you know, tomorrow or anything, but one time I really want to get you on stream for Terror Tuesday, and I want you to read a spooky story. I would just die.
I'd love to do that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
We have to do that. I tried to do Terror Tuesday and it failed terribly, but I'll bring it back for the spookiest voice there is. Yes. So that would be so fun. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you. Santasia, feel free to raid whoever you want, if you have a friend live or if any of my friends are live or whatever you want to do. Guys, thank you so much. Don't forget to follow Jason. Jason, what are you most like? What's your social media that you are on the most? Is it Twitter?
My social media things, I am mostly on Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing. You can find me there. On it's at just the letter J Marnocha. So just at J Marnocha.
Marnocha. I've not wanted to say.
I've only recently consolidated it all into the one username, because that seemed wise. So,
that is wise. Yes.
Yeah, finally started doing that.
Yeah, everyone's saying that it was good to get to know you, and it was you have such an interesting career, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go.
Well, thank you. The pleasure's all mine. I've enjoyed being here, and you're a delight and a wonderful host. So I appreciate you asking me on. I like getting to know you a little better. So this was great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, friends. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Cheers, everybody.